Welcome to Tell Me About the Gig with your host, Fabian and Stretch.
That's us. I'm prettier in person, I promise. That's what my mom says anyways. What's up, everybody?
Lies.
It's Fabian. My buddy Stretch is here. We are going into, you know what? I'm going to officially call this season 2 because, we had a short little 6 episode and then took a break and all kinds of stuff ensued. It was fun.
We're not dead.
We're not dead. Somebody said, are you dead? No, we're not dead. We did really well, and I'm really thankful to everyone that came in on Spotify, all the ratings we got, YouTube views and everything. So thank you, guys. I don't know why I changed accents there. Thank you very much. I love you. I love you so much. Get to the podcast. Do it now. Come on. All right, and if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you'll notice there's a nice, pretty bearded face on the bottom of the screen. That is my buddy Don Boles. He's a good old friend of mine from South Plains College in Lubbock, Texas. How you doing, Don?
I'm doing really good today.
Doing really great. What are you sipping on?
Coffee, of course, Mom.
Hey, Mom's watch. I'm surprised. I got yelled at by my mom. Why did you say this, mijo? Because I'm 40, Mom.
Your mom voice has always killed me, man. For years, it's been exactly the same. I've never met your mom somehow.
Por qué? Why you have to say things like that? You're a good Christian man. You be a good Christian man.
She's gonna love all this.
Yeah.
Oh,
she
yeah.
is. I might edit. I'll block her from the. I do that sometimes, block Mom because she don't want to see that.
You know, I talked to my mom last night, and she actually said, well, if it gets out of hand, there are things mothers just don't want to know.
This is true, especially Southern mothers.
Yep.
It's like, oh yeah.
Southern mother she will get it out of
Them
here.
ladies from Lubbock, they just nope, don't. What happens in high school stays in high school.
Nice. Speaking of high school, that's where Don and I met, and we were friends throughout college, and we even played in a band together.
Oh yeah,
Called John and the Rambling Strangers.
John and the Rambling Strangers. Yeah. It was good. You were the one envied Mexican in the band. We all wanted to be you, and the rest of us were sort of, an Irish, Danish muddled mix of idiots from Lubbock, Texas. It was a great time. We I was listening to a recording of one of our last shows that we did with that group just a couple of weeks ago, and even in the show there, we all spoke of how jealous we were that we weren't you. And
you stop it. Yeah. Stretch, tell them how great I am.
I mean, we had to get another. We had to get another Hispanic for our band. We couldn't have 4 white people. We had to have another one.
We had to even it out.
So we got Mario. And it's been great.
And we've been disappointed ever since.
Let them more balance.
It helps. It helps. It throws some good color in there.
And then we went to college together. And that's a blur. That's a complete blur. I'm not going to lie. I don't remember much from then. So
it was lunch breaks are all I remember. And that's what created the blur.
Yeah. God. Did you ever go over to our house? Like our party house?
You had one of those too?
Yeah, big time.
I seem to recall going to several party houses, whether it was yours or not. Again, part of that lunch break side effect.
We had the 2-story rundown house that had the stripper pole in the middle of the living room.
Yes.
He's like,
yes.
Yeah.
I think that's what inspired me to buy my own stripper pole, actually.
I hope you've kept up with the sport. It's very, very...
I'm augmenting the sport. I'm starting to use it on my construction sites. I found it really helps hold the roof up while you're going down. Plus, when you need a break, you just take a spin.
I mean, firemen do it. They do.
Oh yeah. No doubt.
Wear nothing but the hat and just spin on the pole for an hour.
That's how they make those calendars.
That's right. So you went on to do sound and be a tour manager for the legendary Joe Ely and the Flatlanders. And That is a feat in itself, my friend. I congratulate you on that because Joe Ely has been a legend in the country and folk world out of Texas since the 60s? 70s?
Well, really 70s and 80s was when he kind of found his prime. He much like us had a large history of playing with just about every local band that you could find in the panhandle of Texas when you start digging back through history. And, all of the greats, all of those guitar professors from South Plains College when we were out there together, at some point or another played in a band with Joe Ely. And, he moved to Austin in the early 80s, and it really he exploded as a new twist to rock and roll, collided with that kind of outlaw country that came from Texas, the Willie Nelson and Jerry Jeff Walker kind of stuff. It's he put an interesting spin on everything, and I think people just really took to it and still do to this day. You'll watch people in their 80s just absolutely throw the walkers and the canes away, break that dance floor down,
risking breaking a hip.
Oh yeah, but all the young kids are still into him too. I mean, he's one of the biggest influences of Texas music still to date, I think, and to a lot of other genres as well. I mean, he's got his ties in the punk rock scene. We would have never had the Clash in America if it weren't for Joe Ely. So
really,
yeah. Joe actually, back when he was hopping trains and trying to escape the chaos of Lubbock, Texas, he somehow ended up, same day they make psilocybin a federal crime in the U.S. He happened to be busted by a certain police officer in Lubbock who always had it out for him. Once he got out of a short amount of jail time for that, he took off to England with a theater acting troupe playing guitar for him. Really? And while he was there, he met Joe Strummer. And Joe Strummer, of course, just fascinated with the area of Lubbock and, just the music of Buddy Holly and Sonny Curtis and all the guys that, were creating that kind of Texas scene. Joe Strummer was really into, so he and Joe Ely just hit it off, became best friends instantly. And the Clash actually asked Joe to schedule their first American tour, and they wanted to play all of the things, all of the venues and all of the towns that were spoken about in a lot of those old songs. Of course, one of their hits being "I Fought the Law" from Sonny Curtis right there in Lubbock, Texas. Yeah. They had to play in Lubbock, so they played at a venue. Oh, what was it called back then? The Rocks or something. I think we knew it as Liquid. No, it wasn't Liquid 2000.
Oh, I remember that place. Oh, geez.
It was the one over on 4th Street where they had all the foam parties. For our generation, it was a very different time.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It was like half car dealership, half nightclub. It was a really strange vibe.
I remember. Yeah.
But yeah, the Clash actually played, back there. Joe brought them through, and they played El Paso, and that's when they recorded the Rock the Casbah video down in Luling, Texas, down by Austin.
Oh, sweet.
He's pretty much directly responsible for them coming to America the first time and continuing. And he gets songwriting royalties. He was there with them on Electric Ladyland when they recorded "Should I Stay or Should I Go?" And Joe doesn't really like to mention this, but he actually is responsible for all of the Spanish lyrics in that song. They asked him to translate. And so he
Mucho
jokes
respecto, Mr. Jose. Mucho respecto.
Oh yeah. He did his best. It may not be exactly what they wanted, but they got pretty close for grabbing
not bad.
A little old cotton farming kid from Lubbock, Texas,
Damn. I learned something new today. Damn. Stretch, did you know that? Did you see anything?
Yeah, no, I didn't expect to learn today.
Mine's a little blown, isn't it?
Right? Holy shit.
Wow, that's impressive.
Now, so when did you start up working with them?
So, after I got out of college, God, when was that? 2003 or so. I started running a little theater in Lubbock.
Cactus Theater?
That's, the Cactus Theater. Yeah. At the time owned by Don Caldwell, who's, Mr. Lubbock music around there.
Yeah.
And we had a recording studio in the theater and a music school and a festival production company. And so I kind of had my hands in a little bit of everything going around. And I had to learn lights and sound, and I didn't really have to learn anything. It was all, stuff I had learned in high school.
Right.
Due to my failing grades. I couldn't be on stage in theater as much as I wanted to, so I was always in the sound booth. All that production just kind of played into running that theater. And since it's Joe Ely and the Flatlanders' hometown, we booked them 3 times a year. By about 2009, they were asking if I could ever go on the road, and things just kind of fell in line at some point, and it was like, just go grab a bag and hop on the bus. And so I took off for a week with them. The following year, they asked me to move to Austin and do it full time, and that's kind of the end of the story as far as
that's pretty awesome.
I mean, it went.
Jeez, where all have you traveled? Yeah. Have you gone like abroad and everything?
Abroad, not exactly. We for about the past decade, Joe really hasn't done anything outside the States except for Canada and Mexico. I've been all over Canada.
Because I know he has toured worldwide. I just didn't know if you were.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, you really get into that. The Flatlanders, one of their albums that they recorded in 71 at a little cinder block recording studio in Odessa, Texas, owned by Tommy Alsop of the West Texas Playboys with Bob Wills and everything. They recorded a demo there that got sent to Nashville and actually put out, but it never got released in the States. When everybody got their 8 tracks of it, it had some Patsy Cline record on it. And it had their sticker, but none of the Flatlanders music. But about 10 years after that, it actually got released in England. And it just exploded there. And about 10 years later, it finally caught on in America. So they're one of the only bands I've known of that has kind of done it backwards. They got their fame abroad first and have slowly progressed towards being popular here. In the meantime of all that, they all had their own music careers. Joe Ely was playing honky tonks. Jimmy Dale Gilmore was really big in the Nashville country music scene, and Butch Hancock, the other member of the band, was off doing mushrooms and studying architecture at some college in Colorado or something like that. But writing a song a day. I mean, he's just prolific as it gets. So
let's get to the fun stuff here. So we, as a traveling punk band, we often come across many of the difficulties that we're having to deal with live sound in local venues and national venues and whatnot. So we're wondering, like, what are the worst case scenarios that you've had to deal with traveling the way you do, doing as many sound gigs as you have done? You guys have a nice. Last time I saw you had like this Bose real technical system. We've always traveled pretty self-contained in the worst case scenario, because the guys are just big fans of the Bose L1 units. That's what they
sort of suffices. Yeah, as a PA system and a monitoring system. It's really tricky for the front of house engineer, and this is where I've really honed my skills, because they have entire control over that on stage. So I'm constantly fighting what their doing. PA system is doing with what's out at front. And one of the worst things I dealt with in college was understanding and solving phasing issues. And I've become just an absolute master at learning, like, oh no, that speaker needs to move 6 inches back and 2 to the left, and kind of learning to line the room up and run.
And then all of a sudden you hear everything. You're like, oh, there it is. Phasing gone.
And it's a wild scenario. I mean, because of that, I've dealt with lots of things right there in Chicago where y'all are at. The Old Town School of Folk Music has a massive 3-story balcony, and with the Bose projected at the floor, I can't get enough audio to, through the house system to push it up to the top without problems. So we've had to rig up extra PAs in the in the lighting bars pointed down at them on auxes. I mean, just crazy stuff like that. But I would really say that, the worst is when you get like the little venues that really have the money behind them, like art galleries. We've performed at a few art galleries, and we stopped at one somewhere in Wisconsin, and it was a beautiful little gallery, but I got woken up on the bus by at that time, that was one of my first tours. We had a tour manager running with us, and I was only dealing with the sound. He woke me up and said, "You really need to come inside and look at this." And so, they had a couple of PV combo. No. You never want to be woken up 6 hours before, load in.
Excuse me, wake up, there's an issue.
We really need you.
He's
and
crying.
So, I go inside and, oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, just, the hair disheveled and he's freaking out. And it's like, and we can make it work. I used to work in Lubbock. We're going to be good. But, they've got subwoofers that are actually PV Combo 300 bass amps from the 80s, and they've got like a 6-channel mixer, and they're like, well, there's only 3 guys singing. And it's like, yeah. Yeah. So there's times that we've had to be like, where's the nearest sound system? And they're like, Detroit, we don't know what to do. It's like, okay, so you just kind of learn to wing it. Like I said, thankfully we travel with the Bose, and I've been able to kind of use those to supplement times where we've shown up and promoters have been like, well, you didn't say you needed a sound system. It's like,
God,
kind of essential.
No, it's in the contract there, but it's there's that rider section past the back. You got to read that, brother.
That's a good question. What do you have any crazy rider?
We don't really have a crazy rider. My favorite thing about the rider is that I have, since I've been working with the guys, starting in 2009 or whatever, I've rewritten the rider to fit our specific needs several times. And somehow between booking, we're the rather large talent agency, that they somehow never send out the correct rider. You'll still get, I show up to venues and they're showing me paperwork from like 2004, 2005.
That's the old rider. That's the old one.
Yeah, the benefit to that is that the old sound guy before me always requested a bottle of Jameson, and he had this ritual of folding the set list in half. And he would start the show and he would mix and he would get it all just perfect. And by the time they got to the song at the crease, he would crack the bottle of Jameson. And by the end of the night, he's yelling at loaders and stumbling into the bus. And, so I always got some good Jameson out of the old riders. But no, we keep it pretty basic, hand towels, water, a little bit of wine for the artists. It doesn't take much more than that to keep us happy. It's all about playing the music.
Yeah. You don't have any crazy essentials that you need on the bus for travel?
No. I mean, these guys that I've worked with and been lucky to work with for so long are absolutely some of the most amazing minimalists and just easygoing people. I'm really spoiled on the concept of even thinking about going out with other people. It's always just like, don't pull my teeth. I love the guys I'm with.
You made a joke. I get it.
Yeah. And you actually know about that. Yeah.
Yes, I do.
I still meet people all the time that are like, did you have braces? Your teeth are so perfect. It's like, ha.
What do you?
No, I did not.
Stretch. What you travel pretty minimum too. Like you always just have like your air mattress bed and then like a bag.
It's usually, I try to stay as light as I can, but.
What's your essential? What do you necessarily have to have when we're on the road?
Usually like my eyes are the biggest, my contacts, my glasses are the biggest. Like,
you gotta see.
Yeah.
Like I can't, I only played one show with my glasses on and I absolutely hated it. I don't did you play the last show with
I showed up with glasses on because I was driving at night and I needed my glasses on. But as soon as I got into venue and got everything situated, I popped my contacts back in and
Yeah.
But then when we were
can't do
leaving,
it.
I was driving home. I put my glasses back on.
I ripped them, threw them out the window. I'm like, these are done. I'm out.
Yeah, dude, I
So,
can't do the sweat and then the fogging. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See, and mine's similar. I mean, but I can deal with my contacts or glasses get messed up. I can go blind, but I got my teeth kicked out at a show several years ago. And that's, for me, it's the denture glue, like something about not having my teeth in.
Yeah.
It's really just, you show up with the sunken face and people are like, how old are you? And it's like,
What's up,
no,
man?
it's not. I used to be in a rock band, man. It was a rough show. Like, but I would do the same thing you talk about with the contacts. I would perform with my teeth out, because screaming into the microphone, they would fly out occasionally. That's really disturbing.
Oh,
to an
no.
audience.
someone just gets hit in the head with a barrel.
Oh, absolutely. Just total
Holy
headache.
shit.
That would be great if it just flew and stuck in someone's
God.
forehead, like broke skin.
No, it's back
terrified
at
look.
the last rock band I was in, and if you look down to my pedal board, there were always my cup with my teeth down in it right there beside the pedal board, so that I didn't hit somebody in the face.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
It's important, carry denture glue, because it's
I'm getting to that point where that might be a future. I already have a fake tooth.
Oh,
I had to get one pulled because I've never had a cavity in my entire life until I turned 40. Then all of a sudden it's like cavity. I'm like, just take this one out. I don't care. And now I'm like, I couldn't miss it. Put something back in.
Dental work is so expensive. Musicians can't afford it.
No,
they offered me, after the accident at the show, I got hit by a crowd surfer. Crowd surfing is dangerous. Public.
Oh,
surfing.
yeah.
But yeah, this green Converse, I remember it very specifically. We had we opened the show with the band I was playing with. This is in my early days when I still lived in Lubbock.
So you were playing this show.
Yeah, well, we played, and one of the best
workplace accident.
We got to open for one of my metal, hero bands, Every Time I Die, out of Buffalo, New York. And, this was in the early days of me working for Joe. So I was still living in Lubbock and just flying to Austin every weekend. But I skipped this weekend to play this show, of course, with our band. After we played our set, the Every Time I Die went on, and we heard a speaker blow in one of the stacks. So I ran around behind the crowd to help out the audio engineer and be another good person, take a look at it. And as I did, I saw my wife at the back of the crowd kind of rocking out. So I put my arms around her, hugged her, and this green Converse comes right over her head and it hit me square in the teeth. I looked down, spit, and about 8 teeth fell out of my mouth into the floor. I'm only 27 years old at the time, and so kind of confused. We still, I collected them, put them in a Ziploc, like I was going to get them reinstalled or something. I don't know. We finished the night, partied with the band, had a blast, went to the dentist the next day, and they offered $28,000 worth of bridge work or $3,000 to rip the rest out and give me full dentures. It was like, well, that's a no-brainer. My granddad had dentures. I can have them too. From the time I've been 27, I've dealt with fake teeth. It's a blessing.
So you partied after getting your teeth kicked out.
That's punk rock.
I can tell you there is no amount of pain that Jaeger can't fix.
Except dignity.
Damn, man.
Well, dignity definitely, but
that's a pain you're not getting back.
We'll worry about that later.
I can't even imagine. I know that's impressive. No. I can't even imagine. Oh, geez, my face just hurts thinking about it.
I was a baby when I got my wisdom teeth removed. I can't even imagine just taking a Converse to the face and losing teeth.
I'll tell you, I'm with you. When I had my wisdom teeth out at a young age, that was like one of the biggest nightmares of my life. It was horrible, but somehow, I think it was the adrenaline from being able to actually be there opening for a band that you just absolutely idolize, and they listened to us. I mean, that was one of the biggest compliments as an opener, that the guys, came out of their little VIP section. They all got off the bus and they got
That's
right
huge.
up to the side of the stage and watched us. Life was at 10 that day. There was nothing, not even losing your entire face apparently was going to bring me down from that. So
did you send the teeth to the band to have them sign it?
No, but I did. I did go to a show when they came to play at the Red Room in Austin, and my wife, I took my first set of dentures with me to get them to autograph them. And so all of the guys in the band
I would have done it.
had no problem. After the show, they were like, "Oh, we remember you. Oh my God, you got
holy shit!"
Yeah, and so everybody in the band signed them except for the lead singer Keith Buckley, and he apparently has this like tattoo somewhere in the collage on his arm of a tooth that says "scary" on it. So he's got this phobia of teeth and dental stuff. And so he wouldn't sign my dentures for me. He agreed. He's like, "I'll sign your driver's license, your guitar, whatever. I'll give you an autograph, but not." And so my wife just grabs them out of my hand and starts chasing him around the green room in the back, screaming, "Get back here, you pussy." It was the greatest moment of my life, watching this, my beautiful wife
Sarah
chasing this dude, screaming at him, "You're gonna sign these," and he never did. I finally tamed her down and forgave him, but
dear Sarah,
Sarah,
you just went to this level. If she listens to this, Sarah, you're up here now.
she's hardcore for sure. I love that girl.
I worked with his wife at the restaurant I managed. She was
nice.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before they got married. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't want to marry her. I was afraid I would ruin this beautiful, perfect soul of a human with all of my music and life. And, she didn't give me the option. She made me.
You're really reaching for those compliments there, man. You've got them written down there somewhere?
There's a note section for you.
I did have a kind of a worst case scenario questionnaire for you, but I don't know, you kind of covered what you would do if this happened. Because we were just talking about our last episode when we were in Vegas, and we showed up and we had problems with the flight getting there on time, so we didn't get to the venue until it was sound check time. And we were the opener, and it was a huge festival. So, and then our drummer didn't have a snare. They didn't have the kit set up. There was no snare drum. They were supposed to provide everything. And there was no power. No power to the front of the stage or anything. And then once they got everything situated and the show starts, one song in, all the subs in the venue blew.
Oh my God.
And
it was a mess.
And then it wasn't until the next band that I went out to listen. I was like, "Oh, that sounds horrible." It's just all high end. There's no low end or anything. What do you do in that case? What's your answer?
Oh man, I mean, sometimes you just weep. Full disclosure, you just cry, and when people come up and they bother the sound guy, you pretend you're deaf. But it's if there's not a workaround with what you have on hand, and I'm notorious for overpacking the bus with spare gear. I mean, I'm that guy that tells the band, bring 2 guitars, bring 2 vocal mics, bring 2 amps, bring, 15 guitar cables, and then I pack an extra on top of that in my little stuff. Because redundancy is key when you're touring. I mean,
redundancy is key when you're touring.
Yeah.
Redundancy is key when you're touring.
Good point. That's a great point.
Redundancy is key when you're touring.
I like what you're saying.
But I mean, you've got to be prepared for that stuff. It's gonna happen. The nightmares are gonna happen. You're gonna wake up in San Angelo, Texas one day, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. It's all
It's
about
just a lose-lose situation at that point if you're not prepared. Huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of scenarios that are like that. You know, we've been given situations where the booking agency set us up to have a gig on the same day as we played a festival, and they're like, oh, well, it's an early show, it's a festival, you've got a gig that night, there'll be plenty of time. And then you try to drive up the East Coast and you realize that's not like driving across Texas. And sometimes, even though you're only going 200 miles, it's still going to take 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, you know, everything just goes wrong, and you run in right at showtime, and you just kind of hop up on stage and laugh with the audience as they watch you set up while you're in the middle of the show. You know, and then the hopeless scenarios are the hopeless scenarios. You just have to roll with them. I mean, it's really, a lot of tour managers and a lot of sound guys, even a lot of musicians that just absolutely get their days crushed by that. But, you know, I've always thought that was kind of silly. Like, you're still out, you're not working at Chuck E. Cheese, you know?
Yeah.
You're still out making music. You still have the opportunity, and tomorrow can't be as bad as today was. So, you know, just you got kind of duck off a water off a duck's back. You know,
yeehaw,
let it roll, or duck it off your back.
I remember when that happened in Vegas. I remember thinking like, oh man, we heard about that happening, I was like, oh, we're gonna be that opening band that just sounds horrible. But then I went out and I was like, okay, every band sounds like that. I feel a little better. Like, it's not but you know, the crowd was still really into it. Everybody was still having a great time. I was like, can we like crank the bass more? I'm assuming those are full range speakers that are mounted up above the stage. Can we like drop some of the highs out of that, or, you know, even scoop them a bit, just something to compensate?
Oh, right. No, I mean, you can always downsize. You can always, you know, I mean, you think about the way people toured. Well, like Joe Ely, like the guy, you know, I've worked with for 12 years, has taught me so many things about his early days of, you know, trying to make it to a gig in Amarillo, and the transmission went funny on their van. So Lloyd Maines, very, very famous, you know, producer who was the steel guitarist in his band at the time, they decided to put the van in reverse because that was the only gear still working. And they drove all the way from Lubbock to Amarillo up I-27.
It's a 2 hour reverse.
Down the other,
2 hour drive,
the wrong direction. So I mean, you know, there's always a way to make it. And they did that. You know, they show up to the gig and they're doing it with one of those old Sun PAs or with like a vocal mic plugged into a guitar amp. I mean, there's always a way to get it out there. You just scale till what's most important is at the top, and you bring everything else up to that. If the entire power goes out, like Doty's show in Abilene, Texas, a couple of decades ago, you grab an acoustic guitar and you sit on the end of the stage and bring the audience up to you. We're all in it together to enjoy that moment. And no matter how chaotic the moment gets, there's always a way to preserve it. You just kind of got to think outside the box and not get so mad at what's happening, but find the solution, you know?
It's a good message for the divas that listen in. These local band divas that have to have their in-ears. They have to have their sound. When I was doing the tribute scene, I never encountered more just egos and divas in my life. Divas. Like, they had to. It was to the point to where like people were yelling at other people not to. Someone went, "Hey, can I use your amp tonight?" You know, or something like mine's busted. I don't know, or a tube went out, and then before I could even open my mouth, someone else in my band's like, "No, you can't touch his stuff. No, you can't use his stuff. You can use it if he wants to." Like, I know it's an orange amp. I can set it up really easily. Sharing is caring, man. Yeah. I understand with drummers. We had that talk last time. Like, drums are a different scenario. Yeah.
Well, you know, and I mean, I get that to an extent because one drummer really can just tear the crap out of your set. But I live in redundancy. So we have extra heads for everything ready to go.
Because you live in redundancy.
Because I live in redundancy.
Yeah.
Living in redundancy.
You know,
that's a good point.
If you don't share on the road and you don't work together, none of the shows are going to go off right.
And I had another scenario, but you kind of covered this one too. What happened to us in St. Louis one time when you show up to the venue. It's a small venue, and there's a small stage, but it's like 2 feet off the ground. And the sound guy isn't there. and they just hand you a box with like one PA speaker, a couple microphones, and a couple cords.
Some cables,
and
yeah.
cables
Just,
tangled up.
here you go.
Yeah. Nothing set up.
No,
You know, as a band member, how do you proceed? Do you do your best?
That's really, yeah. I mean, that's how I ended up, I think, becoming a sound guy in the first place. You know, I always tell people, they're like, oh, well, you're an audio engineer. Do you play anything yourself? It's kind of like, oh, sad face. Yes. Yes, I'm a musician too. You know, I grew up in Lubbock, Texas, and I had the fortunate benefit of coming from a long history of radio family. You know, my granddad, my dad, they were all in radio years and years and years ago. And so I knew the buttons, I knew the faders, I kind of understood what it was supposed to be. But playing in Lubbock in small garage bands or small, you know, college party bands or whatever, you never get a sound guy or a sound company. Prior to the college, you know, it's grown a lot. I don't want to say that that's the scenario today because it's a whole different world in that town. But you never get anybody who has any clue what they're doing. And so self-preservation for your show, I almost always ended up kind of taking over and or filling in as the sound guy and guitar player, piano, bass, whatever, you know, just without fail at every gig I would show up at. And
let me do it.
Yeah, it was like, just, you know, yeah, I get it. Get out of the way, Lurch.
I know the sound better than you.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't mean to be egotistical about it, but there are a lot of times that it's just like,
you know your sound.
I don't want to be rude, but you know, I know what I need to hear. Can I understand the system. Can I just kind of
Let me show you.
I'll buy you a beer. You go sit down. I'll take care of this. You get a free night off work. Hey.
You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, you just roll with it. Well, no, that's it. You really got to roll with it. As a musician showing up, it can be frustrating. But again, the overall point is the show must go on. And if you know how to plug in a guitar amp and make your guitar sound good, you probably have what you need to apply that to a vocal or drum kit or whatever else. Mm-hmm. So there's not too much different to getting it on yourself. And just, you know, remember the next time you come around that fuck that venue.
Mental note.
It's coming from the school we did and you know, learning all because in my degree I did performing arts technology, so I had a mix of like the music training and the technological audio and video side, and I got to run sound and light and all that, and I definitely gained a lot of respect for what you guys do when you're behind that board. And I try never to be the one to just immediately like get mad at the sound guy or yell. I'm like, there's a problem here. Like, can we fix it? If not, I can deal with it. Like during sound check, I'm never like, I've seen guys sound check and they're just like, I need this like pointed right here and I need this, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, I can hear it. I'm good. I can hear myself here too. I'm fine. Just, yeah. I can make it work. Like the most minimal setup. Like I can.
Dude, and I appreciate everybody coming from that aspect on all sides of the industry. You know, I think musicians need to remember that the sound guy's job is hard. The sound guys need to remember that the musician's job is hard. Like it really is a team effort to pull it all off. Mm-hmm. Just period. I'm fortunate enough to be both. So I have a lot easier time melding, you know, and I live by the philosophy of you catch more flies with honey.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I think that plus redundancy.
There's nothing worse than a sound guy who's also an asshole running your show. It's pretty, pretty rough, man.
Like, and as a tour manager,
yelled at by one stretch? Have you been yelled at by a sound guy?
I think I was just like, oh yeah, definitely. I didn't realize his head was right in front of my speaker. like bam,
you know, I worry about that every time.
Blew out his eardrum.
I've done that, and I'm like playing. I see a head behind me. I'm like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were there.
I'm like, I'm an asshole.
Yeah, I'm trying to get stage volume. Like, tap me next time. Like, I would have known. I remember House of Blues. I forget which time it was. We played House of Blues here in Chicago. Where, it was Jeremy's memorial show. And we were going to do that acoustic set, and they were setting up, how many guitars, how many of this. I'm like, oh, there's these electric guitars. And I completely forgot that we were like doing this acoustic thing, like in the middle. And then to see Jay walk in, I'm like, and I see the sound guy. I was like, oh yeah, we are doing an acoustic set. And he was like, you need to tell me these things beforehand. I gotta set it up. He was like yelling at me. I'm like, I'm sorry, I forgot. Like he just walked in with an acoustic. Man. Then he goes, grabs one chord, plugs it in direct, and I was like, you got mad about that?
Dude.
Oh my God.
I think, there are memes and there are I'm sure TikTok videos and other sorts of stuff out there in the social media world I haven't delved into yet about the grumpy sound guy at this point.
Oh yeah, there's tons.
It's just such a thing. I never wanted to be that. And I've always had the benefit of having booking or management also, or a promoter, depending on which side of the scene I'm on that day, to blame it on and just go in as a nice guy and be like, hey, look, this isn't either of our fault. Let's figure it out, man. Like, we can all still have a good time. You need an extra input. I don't have an extra input. Let's think about this. Let's figure it out.
Well, here's a real question. Here's a real question from the forums. How bad is the mic drop?
Ooh, it depends on who owns the mic.
It's your mic.
Yeah.
My mic, I'm not going to punch you, but you'll never get good sound from me again.
That is the answer I thought we would get.
There you go.
That's been the answer I've gotten every time, and that's kind of the one I think is the correct answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's so, again, we're all poor musicians, sound guys. It doesn't matter what side of the scene you're on. If you're in the entertainment industry, you don't have money, especially if you have kids.
How that became a thing, I don't understand. But
yeah, I don't know.
It's all aesthetics and no.
They're so fragile. I mean, I've yelled at myself for dropping my own mic before. It's just don't do it. It's it's rude.
I see it a lot at karaoke.
It's yours. Yeah. And God bless karaoke DJs. That's something I will never in my life venture to be. I respect them. I'm going to stay way the hell away from it.
Something's gone terribly wrong if you got to that point.
Yeah.
If you ever come through Chicago and I'm going to throw a big party, I'm going to ask you to karaoke.
Oh.
Can you run karaoke for us, bro? Like, I'll pay you.
Hey, I mean,
bring those Boss L1 systems. Like,
there's a price for everything, and
really,
as long as you're on the pole, I might give you a discount.
A price for everything? Because if you can take those teeth out, my friend. Redundancy. I mean, refundancy.
Never heard that joke. Ooh. That's the one. Oh my goodness!
Fun times, man.
Yeah, I've never heard the no teeth joke before.
Oh, I'm sure you have, millions of times.
On the road with stagehands and roadies and the festival crews.
No.
All the worst. You thinking about ever getting in a band again?
It crosses my mind. I still constantly work on music, of course. Most of my songwriting is solo, kind of gets shifted into that singer-songwriter folky kind of thing that I did when I couldn't rely on the band in Lubbock, until I had you and some other guys to actually like show up for the gig. But yeah, I mean, it's always in my blood. It's always the dream to create. So I've never stopped. Most of my music now is just more dedicated towards the kids and my dog. I write a lot of songs for my dog, and she seems to love them.
Oh, that's cute.
Nice. But yeah, I definitely dream of playing, and I would jump at the chance and keep my skills kind of honed to fill in with the guys that I tour manage and I run sound for.
Yeah.
If the bass player gets stoned and walks out in front of the hotel at the wrong time, gets hit by a bus, then
You'll be ready.
I've
That's
got it
not
ready.
morbid at all.
I'm ready to jump in.
And you're driving the bus to hit him
on the road. No, I don't want to bust to hit him. I'm just saying, if it did, there have been times when I've had to remind him which way the front door was. So.
Don, wasn't that your car that hit him? No, mine parked in
I don't know
the
what you're talking
back.
about.
I don't know what you're talking about. No. Can I play bass now? All right. Gentlemen, my timer says we're coming up on an hour, so we'll cut it there. Man, I appreciate you coming on here, buddy. It's good to see you. It's been so long.
It's good to see you. I hope I get to make it up to Chicago again here soon.
Yeah, I was telling him when you used to come, and then I'd come see you guys, or the Joe Ely. I always say Joe Ely, but Joe Ely play.
Joe
and
Ely,
the Flatlanders play, and just hang with you, man. It was always a good time. I miss that.
Yeah, dude, it's got to be coming back. I mean, we've all kind of suffered through a couple of years worth of sitting at home. Of course, my guys are loving it. They're like, "Hey, studio time." They're running with it. But it's got to be coming back around. I know there's a lot of festivals that are starting to come up that demand the appearances, and we want to be out there to make people's lives a little bit better. So
Perfect.
It's got to happen again soon.
We hope so, man. We can't wait, brother. It's good seeing you, man. You take care.
It's good to talk to you, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, good to talk to you as well.
Yeah, I'm glad to reunite you two since those years ago in San Antonio.
It's been a while, yeah.
It has been a minute for sure.
Just a little bit.
Tell your wife I said hi and keep that bar raised real high.
I'm gonna, it's doing what I can.
Yeah. Don't piss her off,
Follow
brother.
the list.
Don't piss her off.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, Mr. Don Boles. We'll see you soon, brother. Have a good, safe day. Have fun at Batman Stretch.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the movie.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. He's gonna go watch it. Be safe, guys. We'll talk to you soon.